So I decided today that I should do a more humorous story. Take a little break from some of the more intense subjects and tell a story about the day I tried to do my own Brazilian bikini wax. Um, so, um, to any of you who do not know me, my name is Sarah. Hello. And I'm a licensed cosmetologist. So I have studied um, hair removal in beauty school. Now, I never actually, unless you go to school specifically for osteology, you do not. Let me try to see if I can adjust my lighting because that light is bouncing off. Oh my God. Anyways, well, we'll occasionally get flashed by this light here. Let me see if my big old head can cover it. All right. So, anyways, yeah, so you get trained in hair removal. However, we get trained in facial waxing, at least in my school, not anything else. So I was never trained professionally in how to do a bikini wax because I primarily do hair. So, with that preface, about, oh boy, 10, 15 years ago, I got myself a wax pot because I decided to wax my legs at home. I don't bother with that shit no more. But back then I did. So, anyways, leg waxing, not a problem. Then I decided, ooh, I could wax my bikini area. This is a lovely idea. My son was fairly small at the time, 8 or 9, I think. And so he was away at school and it was my day off and I was home alone. So I'm like, perfect opportunity. Oh boy. Anyways, so I got an old towel and I laid it on the bed because that would be the most comfortable place for me to sit. And I set up my wax pot and I had the strips. And so I took one whole side and I put the wax front to back, the whole side. I had these long strips like this. And normally I would cut them into smaller strips to use for like lip, brow, whatever. But when I would do my arms or my legs, I would use the bigger strips. So I'm like, it's a bigger area. I'm going to use the bigger strips. Bad idea. I have since learned from a friend who did do osteology and specifically did bikini waxes. It is much better to use smaller strips. But I did not know this, and I figured, I've got my license. I got this, right? Okay, so yeah, I had this big ass strip and I smoothed it on the area, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And I rip and I could not get enough angle to rip the entire thing off. And oh boy, it hurt so bad. And I did not let myself process that long enough before I ripped the rest of it off. And the pain is just incredible. Oh boy, it was so bad. And so I'm like, okay, don't let yourself think too much about this. Just right away start the other side because if you give yourself too much time to process this pain, you're not going to go through with it. So I quick put the wax on the other side. Once again, I went with the whole big ass strip because it worked so well the first time around. And I warmed up the wax and 1, 2, 3, couldn't do it. So I kept the wax warm. As long as you keep passing, just the body heat will keep it warm. So I kept doing that. And then, okay, 1, 2, 3, couldn't do it. I could not bring myself to rip the other side. I could not, for the life of me, I could not. So what I did was very carefully, and everyone always says ouch and cringes at this part. It didn't actually hurt. I very carefully separated the paper from the wax. That part actually went swimmingly. Now, because I have some training, I do know ways to remove the wax. Oil. Oil is a great way. There's also lotions and a variety of things that can help remove wax, but oil. In a pinch, oil. It, any kind of oil. Some oils are better than others, but any oil will help remove that sticky residue. So I have this little bottle of oil that came with the wax kit, and I'm working on it, and there's so much wax, and it's a big space front to back, okay? All the way in the back, all the way to the front, all of it, wax everywhere. So I'm like picking away and cleaning and this and that. And I'm like, okay, I think I got most of it cleaned while I'm sitting there digging around in my bits. And so I'm like, okay, I got most of it cleaned, but I have a handheld mirror that was in the bathroom, which was on the other end of the house. And I'm like, okay, I need to go get that mirror so I can check the backside to make sure I got all this wax. Good thing too, because my bare ass, I walk across the house. Again, my son was away at school and no one else was living with us. And so I'm walking and I take a couple of steps and my butt cheeks were, sorry, lady, they were fused together because clearly I hadn't cleaned all the wax. So I pried them apart, took a couple more steps, and fused back together. So I'm like, okay, apparently my butt is sealed at this moment. So I proceeded bottom half naked to the bathroom, collected the mirror, went back to the room, and then continued working on removing all of the residue. I was successful. It did not turn into a horrendous horror story, but I decided waxing that area was not for me. And so I shaved instead that side. Now, my boyfriend at the time, he was very much into all the hair removal, which is part of what motivated me to be more into the hair removal. And he expressed when I told him about this situation that I found myself in, he was like, well, now you're going to be uneven. And I'm like, what do you mean? I waxed the other side. And he's like, yeah, but it's not going to be as clean and smooth as with a wax. And I'm like, yeah, but you do not understand the pain of that delicate area. No, that's just not for me. I don't need to withstand that level of pain. I just don't. Unnecessary. And yeah, he was a little negative about that. Well, he was a rather hairy man. He used to joke that he was a bit of a yeti. And he also was a bodybuilder. And so he liked to show off the muscle by removing a lot of the hair. So he shaved most of his body. He had hair in the, forearms and this and that, but he shaved his legs. He shaved a lot of his body. And it was very hard for him to shave his own back. So he decided he wanted to wax his back. And so we waxed his back. This big, tough muscle man, oh, he screamed, he whimpered, he moaned. My sister and my son were giggling on the other side of the door, laughing so hard and begging to please observe the drama that was occurring in the room. I will say it was a wonderful stress reliever because if you ever want to feel powerful, man, making a big muscle man whimper and near cry, yeah, I felt pretty damn powerful. And after that experience, he said, you know what? Mad respect to you. I was like, do you want to wax your personal area? And he's like, no, that's okay. And I don't know. I think he had me wax his back a couple more times, but that was it. He was just like, that's just too much pain, too much torture. And I don't want to do it. So he was like, you know what? Mad respect. You do not need to wax anything for my benefit. If you choose to wax, do it. If you don't, that's fine. So yeah, I think he realized just what a pain, literal pain it is in the literal ass. I didn't go in the hole or too close to the nitty gritty. But yeah, nitty gritty adjacent. So that was my experience with waxing my bikini area at home. I don't recommend it. There are professionals out there that do this sort of thing and they know what they're doing. So yeah, yeah, that's the moral of that story. So that was my experience with waxing myself at home. So just for one video, we can take a little lighthearted break and have a funny story. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed it, and I'll see you another day. Ciao.